Hey there, Cerise here. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. Welcome to story time. Guys, the main character in this story is named Kevon. Kevon comes from Trinidad. He said to me, Cerise, you know what? I always wanted a dog my whole entire life, but my parents would never let me have one of those small little cute dogs that I could just take everywhere with me. He said, and I still didn't get one. Throughout my whole life, I did all kinds of working, all kinds of traveling. He said I had 3 kids. So, even then we were all so busy, couldn't get an animal because I'm aware of how much time an animal takes to take care of. He said, so now in retirement, I decided to get myself one of those cute little dogs from China. Those cute little things that don't grow and looks just like a teddy bear. And he named his puppy Lulu. So here's Kevon and Lulu, and they're traveling all around the world together all the time. Lulu's always with Kevon, and everyone sees it, and everyone loves Lulu and Kevon. So finally, Kevon comes here one day to the Dominican Republic. He decides that he's going to stay for a month and check it out, see what it's all about. So he's chilling out, he's relaxing, he's enjoying everything that paradise has to offer him. And he meets a Russian woman on the beach. They get to talking, and she just loves Lulu. And she's like picking up Lulu, holding Lulu, and loving Lulu. And he said he started to see this woman on the beach often. Eventually they developed a relationship, and they got quite close. He said they got so close that even after they both left the Dominican Republic, she went with him to America for a little while because that's where he was living when he moved from Trinidad. He said then after that, they both went to Russia together and enjoyed some time with her family. And then they decided to come back here. He said everything was great. Lulu loved her. She loved Lulu. And then they moved here and they got themselves a villa. Now, a little bit of time passed, and Lulu started to develop some health concerns. Lulu started to pee and poo, and this Russian lady was a clean freak. And she went from loving Lulu to loathing Lulu. She didn't want Lulu around her any longer. She kept saying that Lulu smelled like poo and that Lulu needed to go to the veterinarian. And he said to me, there was nothing Lulu could do. She was just losing her bowels all the time. She was getting to that age. And then he said maybe because Lulu was so tiny, she couldn't take care of her own bowels when she got to a certain age. And he said he started to feel bad for Lulu. So he started to just, take off of the house a lot because the Russian woman was always arguing with him, always creating fights over Lulu. So he said he didn't want Lulu in her last life there to be upset. He said so he'd go to the beach with Lulu. He would go to different places with Lulu, go hang out with his boys. And he said Lulu would always be in his lap, on the floor, underneath the table when everyone was having drinks. He said she was always the star of the show. And then one day, Christmas, his children came to visit him. And they were all enjoying life like they do best, he said. And they were just sitting back, relaxing. And his daughter told him she was pregnant. Now, this is the daughter that had the more bohemian lifestyle. And he asked her, who's the father? And she said she doesn't know. It could be between 2 different guys. Now, the Russian woman, let's give her her name. Let's call her Vicky. Vicky jumped up and said, you don't know who the father is? Well, you can't have this child. And of course, Kevon looked at Vicky and said, what are you talking about? She can't have this child. This is my grandchild. Of course she's going to have this child. We're all going to take care of this child like a village would. What are you talking about? And Vicky said, well, this is just ridiculous. Oh, I can't sit by and listen to all of this. How is she going to take care of this child? She can't stay here with us. And then his daughter said, well, actually, Daddy, that's what I was going to ask you. If I can live here with you, I'll help you take care of the villa. I have a job. I work online now. And but I'm scared and I just want someone to help me with my baby. And he said, of course you can stay here. There's a spare house. There's a little casita. You can live in that. We'll get everything built up. Oh my gosh. Of course you can stay here. And she was like, thank you, Daddy. And Victoria, we'll call her Vicky. Vicky said, how is she going to stay here? This is not a place for children and babies and young people. We are at an age now where we don't need to hear babies crying. And Kevon looked at Vicky and said, this is not just any baby, babe. This is my grandchild. This is a beautiful blessing. And my daughter wants to stay here with me to share this blessing. What part are you not understanding? And Vicky said, what part do you not understand? I already share your time enough as it is with all of your friends. You're never home. You're always running around with that little piece of crap. And she pointed at Lulu, and she said, I'm never getting your time. You're always out of the house. I don't know what's going on with us. And now you want to introduce another thing, a child that has no father. You know who's going to be raising this kid. You know who's going to be cleaning up after this kid. You guys are all so nasty. You don't do any cleaning on your own. I'm going to be stuck raising this kid. And he looked at her. Kevon said to me, Cerise, when I looked at her, all I saw was the devil. He said, I couldn't believe what was coming out of this woman's mouth. After everything I gave her, after everything I shared with her, he said, when he met her on the beach, she was almost a beach bum. He paid for everything. She led a very good life with him and the money that he made. He said at that point, he didn't even want her in the villa. So he said to her, you keep it up and you won't be sleeping here tonight. And she said to him, what? And he said he couldn't even believe what he said either. And even his daughter was like, no, Daddy. Oh my gosh, no. Okay, you know what? Forget it. I'll just come and visit when I can. And then Kevon said he stood up and he told Vicky, he said, we need to go aside. We need to step aside right now and we need to speak privately because you are getting out of control and you are speaking in front of my children in a very disrespectful manner. And she said to him, you are disrespectful. You're not passing anything by me. You're not asking me how I feel about this. What is going on? And he just told her, he said, you know what? You have to go, at least go for the night. Go spend some time with your friends at your friend's place. I'll drive you there. So he said he wasn't taking no for an answer. And he made her get an overnight bag together because he was not going to be putting up with her mouth. And he said to her, if you don't go, the police will be called and you won't come back. And she couldn't believe that he was speaking to her like that. And, you know, this is a man that just got some good news about having a child, a baby come into the family. And this woman kicks off like that. At least wait a little bit. At least wait till you guys are alone in your room at night so he can say to you, baby, don't worry. I understand you may feel that my time will be fragmented even more, but I will give you some extra special time. Or please just let me celebrate this moment. And we will talk about this. We have 9 months to talk about it or however long, you know. And it wasn't even like that. She just kicked off. So he told her, let's go. And they were driving and he had to drive her down a little hill. They were staying in Rio San Juan. And he drove her down a little hill and they were driving. And of course, he said he had Lulu with him. He said at that moment, Lulu jumped off his lap. And she went between the two of them and released herself. He said there was no way she could hold her bowels, but she was trying not to poo on him. And she went between the two of them. So on the console where the emergency brake is for the car, that's where she pooed. And he said the dog's so small, the dribble is so small, but for some reason it had a really big stink. He said he doesn't know, maybe you know, she was dying inside. She was old. She was sick. So he said, you know, when she pooed, he knew she was going to poo because she jumped off him. That's the only time she jumped off at Kevon's lap. And he said he knew she was going to poo, but he was too angry to pull over. And he just wanted to get rid of Vicky at that moment because he wanted to get back to the villa and celebrate the news with his family. Well, Vicky smelled the smell. And he said at this point, she was just complaining. I don't know why you don't see how crazy this is. We're good together alone. We don't need to bring anyone into our house. It's just going to cause more chaos and conflict. And he said at this point, he was also thinking to himself, well, maybe it's time to get rid of Vicky indefinitely, because he's been so angry at her about how she has been treating Lulu, and just angry around the house, always contentious. He said he's the one that provides the lifestyle for her, and she's not even thankful for it. So he said all of a sudden she said, and this frigging dog, it smells so bad. Oh my gosh, she just pooed right here beside us and you don't even care. Look at, you're so nasty. And he said to her, you know what? You don't have to deal with this anymore. And he said she picked up the dog, whipped the dog out the window and said, I know, and I won't. I'm tired of it. And whipped the dog out the window. He said it was evening time and he stopped the car right away. He couldn't believe she did it. He stopped the car immediately, left the keys in the car, left everything, like just put the car in park. He said when he put the car in park, like he was in shock. You know, he forgot about the poo being there, but he said his hand didn't touch the poo because it was like in the leather part of the console, not on the stick shift. He said he went out and he looked for the dog. He called the dog, called for the dog. He didn't hear the dog bark back. He tried to look for the dog. He said there was nothing he could do. Nothing. And then he said all he could do. And then he said she took off with the car. She just took off with the car. And he said that here he is on the middle of a road in the Dominican Republic, doesn't even know exactly, like when someone's going to be passing on that road, because it's a little bit more of a country road, and he doesn't know where his dog is. He said he just sat down and cried, and all of a sudden a car came by and it was MOPC, and they asked him what was going on, and I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, right guys? MOPO, or it's the police that help on roadside assistance. And he told them what was going on, and he told them that his dog is there. One of the police got out and helped him look for his dog with flashlights and everything, because it started to get darker. And the other police officer drove up ahead to go search for the woman and the vehicle. Eventually they did find her. They found her halfway across the way to Sosua, and they arrested her for animal abuse. They took it very seriously. He said, Cerise, I was so impressed at how quickly these police officers worked for my dog. He said eventually they did find Lulu. Her every rib was broken. She was just, he said they allowed him to pick her up, and he picked her up. She was so tiny. He said she was so limp. He could tell that she was just broken up. He said her jaw was bleeding, but he held her. He wiped off everything with his top. And he said he just didn't know what to do. Right now, he says he'll never forgive the woman. Never, ever forgive her. But he said he was so shocked. Right now, he doesn't know if she was obsessed or just controlling, or a little bit of both. But it doesn't matter. He said he's never taking her back. And you know, guys, I don't blame him. I don't blame him. That is a vicious woman. She took that tiny little dog and threw that dog out like that. Oh my gosh. That's somebody who's just demented. You know, at the end of the day, yes, there are a lot of us out there who really want the time of the ones that we love, the ones that we cherish, the ones we adore and treasure so much. We want their time. We want to spend time with them, and we want them to spend time with us and make us a priority. But you know what? Sometimes if that person's not making us a priority and they don't cherish us and treasure us the same way we do them, then maybe we need to make a sacrifice. Maybe we need to really think within ourselves as human beings what we deserve. If you're in a position right now where you're not getting what you want and what you deserve, then you need to calculate within your head, are the circumstances okay for you to stay in? If not, then you need to sacrifice those circumstances and go find what you are looking for, what your heart desires, and what your life deserves. If you feel like you can stay within the circumstances, because at least the person somehow makes up for the time that they don't share with you, Or at times you do feel like a priority and you're not just making them your be all to end all, and you have a healthy relationship with self and with others, then absolutely stick in the relationship and see where it unfolds to. See where the avenues of your relationship will take you. But please don't harm people in the long run. Don't harm them with traumatizing events and actions and selfish ways of expressing your desire for attention. Never do that. Not only will it create bad karma for you in your life, but it's also going to create trauma in other people's lives. Ladies, gentlemen, speak up for yourself. If you are not getting what you want in your relationship, you need to sit your mate down. You need to look them square in their eyes, and you need to say to them, I feel unfulfilled with the two of us. Is there a way that we can create some solidarity between the two of us like we once had? Or is there a way that we can make a date night, even if it's just once a month, for the two of us? And we can share time together, making our relationship a lot stronger, formidable, something that we can both be proud of and be happy in and grow in. You know, there's nothing wrong with speaking to your mate. It's not complaining. There's a way you can do it where you're not complaining, but you're speaking up for yourself. And if your mate is mentally mature and spiritually mature, they will understand where you're coming from and take your lead on how to change and make things great again, so to speak. Okay? So please take care of yourselves. Treat people the way you would love to be treated. Don't abuse animals. Oh my gosh. And remember, life has a way of changing when you least expect it. Sometimes you just got to step in and change it on your own. Maybe it's time to do that. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for hitting that thumbs up button. That lets me know what you like when I upload a video. Also, if you haven't done it yet, make sure you go and subscribe. I appreciate you. Have yourself a beautiful day. Big blesses, huge hugs, and loads of love.